Good morning. My name is Anna Siefken. I'm the Executive Director for the Wilton E. Scott Institute for Energy Innovation at Carnegie Mellon University. We are starting today, kicking off our spring session of webinars with this fantastic group of experts. So the Scott Institute, as many of you know in the audience, is addressing pressing energy issues worldwide through research, entrepreneurship, education, policy, as well as strategic partnerships. And we have several of our strategic partners with us here today. And we're going to be talking about one of the many ways to drive towards a sustainable, lower carbon energy future. So this whole session is bringing industry and government thought leadership together to talk about energy and resilience as we look at operations, policy, et cetera. So this is an excellent opportunity for all of you who are joining us today, and thank you for joining us, to be a part of this conversation. We do have the opportunity towards the end for question and answer, so please do use the Q&A function so that we can answer those questions. So today's topic is a fascinating one, cutting edge technology that's looking at the future of energy efficiency, robotics, and manufacturing. And so we also have someone here from the DOE, Mary Hubbard, who's going to be talking about an upcoming prize. So for those of you who were already working in this space or thinking about working in this space, you'll be able to hear more. We have some upcoming sessions as we get our spring programming underway. February 25th, we're going to be talking about solar. And one of our guests is Abby Hopper, who is the CEO, president of the Solar Energy Industry Association. So very glad to have her joining us. We'll be talking about the grid at the edge on March the 4th with some of our partners from Duquesne Light. As many of you know, Energy Week is coming up in late March. Registration is opening soon, and I'll talk about that in a second. And we do have a distinguished lecture from Olympus Energy on April the 7th. So as I mentioned, Energy Week is coming up. Ordinarily, we have more than 1,000 of our best friends coming to join us in Pittsburgh, but this year we will be virtual. Here is a snapshot of our calendar. We have a career fair on Monday. Our keynote speakers, really brief note speakers, are going to be coming on Tuesday. We're doing an investor forum for startups on Wednesday, a poster competition for our CMU students. You'll be able to see them live on Thursday. And we have a demo day with the National Renewable Energy Laboratory looking at the 20 teams in that competition on Friday. So I hope you'll join us. So all information about these items is on our website, and you can also contact us through social media. If you have a session that you'd like to pitch to us, which is exactly how this came together from our good friend, David McFeeters-Krone, we take those suggestions to heart. So please let us know what topics are of interest to you, not only through a poll that we'll run during this session, but also via email. So thank you to our special guests today. We have the Department of Energy. We have, they're representing the EROBOT Prize, which is one of the American-made prizes. We have the Advanced Robotics and Manufacturing Institute. We have Catalyst Connection. And we also have David McFeeters-Krone, who's here with his organization, but he's part of the manufacturing MEP, which I'm not going to remember off the top of my head, and he's going to tell us about it in a minute. So these are our guests. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let us get started with our distinguished guests. So give me a second. We're going to do a couple of quick introductions. And then each of the guests, as they start to answer questions, is going to give you a minute or two about their organization. So we'll jump right into the content, but also allow them the opportunity to tell you who they're here representing today. So first we have Mary Hubbard, and she is the Technology to Market Manager with the Building Technologies Office Emerging Technologies Program, and she leads BTO's Technology to Market initiative at the U.S. Department of Energy. So this includes a number of programs and activities to help researchers and innovators in the building space de-risk their technologies, their products, and processes to make them more attractive to private investment. We also have with us Petra Mitchell, who is the president and CEO of Catalyst Connection, which is a private nonprofit economic development organization dedicated to helping manufacturers with management, consulting, and technical assistance. And they are part of the NIST Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Apologies that I didn't remember that before. and the Industrial Resource Center of Southwestern Pennsylvania. She is the center director. We also have Jay Douglas, who is the Chief Operating Officer of the Advanced Robotics for Manufacturing Institute here in Pittsburgh. So founded in Carnegie Mellon in January of 2017 and now operating as an independent nonprofit, ARM won an $80 million grant from the US Department of Defense to become the leading catalyst of robotics innovation to accelerate growth in US-based manufacturing. So ARM operates as part of the Manufacturing USA network and is supported by an additional $150 million in commitments from 170 partners and members in industry, academia, technology, government, and economic development groups. And last but absolutely not least is David McFeeters-Krone, who is a proven connector of companies to technologies, expertise, and facilities, helping firms find solutions and secure agreements with US research institutions, including national labs. So he serves as a technology scout, a business development consultant, and a capability broker for companies large and small. So we've gotten to know David through his association with the National Renewable Energy Laboratories Connector Program. So welcome to all of you. That was quite a mouthful. Hopefully I've got all of that right. And with that, I'd like to actually start with a question. And please, let's have everyone answer this first question. And when you answer, tell us a bit about your organization first. So the first question is, how would reshoring manufacturing help energy efficiency in the United States? And I'm going to start with you, Mary, and then how about we'll go Petra, and then Jay, and then David. And then David, you can start us with our next question.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Anna, and thanks everyone for coming today. I'm looking forward to this conversation. My name is Mary Hubbard. I'm from the Department of Energy's Building Technologies Office. We are under the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, really focused on applying the science and technologies to a particular industry, and ours is the buildings industry. So I'm happy to talk about that today. We work everything from early stage R&D all the way through market adoption and market transformation. So that's a little bit about us, and I'll talk a little bit more throughout the day about us. So to answer your question, how would reshoring manufacturing help energy efficiency in the United States? To be perfectly honest, the US construction and building sectors currently face dual existential challenges. The construction industry is lagging in productivity due to pre-industrial building practices, market fragmentation that prevents efficiencies, litigation, insurance issues, and more. Buildings account for 40% of total US energy use and 35% of US CO2 emissions. And they also present a significant untapped opportunity for energy savings. There really is a growing market for industrialized construction, including off-site, modular, and prefabrication, due to the high costs, low efficiency, and slow timelines of traditional construction practices. And honestly, this presents an enormous opportunity to integrate high efficiency, low carbon, resilient building solutions into changing approaches to construction and renovation. Manufacturing and reshoring of manufacturing for energy efficient products, materials, and systems are key to unlocking these opportunities. Manufacturers can adapt their business models, capitalize on underutilized facilities and equipment, and bring in skilled trades to manufacture high quality buildings and components off-site, really creating a new industrial sector for US manufacturing hubs where unemployment remains high. These new manufacturing market could allow the US building industry to effectively overcome growing offshore competition while supporting jobs at home. Furthermore, if innovative solutions for deep energy retrofits can be packaged in more appealing ways that are less disruptive to customers, and even more traditional business models can contribute to increased market demand and significant job growth. So one stat I just wanted to throw out there right at the top. As of 2020, and this is pre-COVID, but as of 2020, energy efficiency supports over 2.4 million jobs across the country. Of that 2.4 million, already previously in the manufacturing sector, there are 325,000 manufacturing jobs today that produce Energy Star products and energy efficient building materials. We think this can expand and grow significantly into the near future. with that, I'll pitch it over. Yep, there you go.
Great. Thank you, Mary. Wow, that was very comprehensive. Thank you for that. So my name is Petra Mitchell. I'm with Catalyst Connection. And as Anna mentioned, we serve Southwestern Pennsylvania small and medium-sized manufacturers. We provide technical assistance, management consulting, and workforce development, all with the idea of helping small manufacturers grow their business and ultimately create and retain high-paying, family-sustaining jobs. And we are part of this national network called MEP, the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, which basically means there's providers like us all over the country serving small and medium-sized manufacturers. In terms of the specific question around reshoring, we're huge advocates of the reshoring. It's becoming, an accepted business strategy, I think, for companies in all sectors. For our community, I think the number one benefit is going to be jobs. The jobs that are created by the companies and the new facilities that are reshored here, and maybe even more significantly, jobs that can be created in the supply chain. And so in that reshoring trend, we're actively engaged to make sure that suppliers, the supply chain, small, medium-sized manufacturers are ready and prepared to participate in these new supply chains, and that there are workers that are ready and prepared for these new advancements. I think related to energy efficiency, what this could do and will do is create demand. It will create demand for energy. And the more demand we have for energy, I think, the more it will drive demand for energy efficiency solutions. And so, for example, we're closely working with a new installation of a very large solar array. And this can provide, very clean source of energy, electricity, and so forth. What is going to make that successful is demand for the energy that comes out of that array. And we're actively engaged in making sure that manufacturers are aware of this opportunity, that they can choose this type of energy and want to participate in this new energy efficiency, in this new cluster, I guess, that we're talking about. So I think the opportunities are very significant around reshoring. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jay. And for those of you who have questions, please do put them in the Q&A area.
Thanks, Anna. Good morning. I'm Jay Douglas. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the ARM Institute. As Anna pointed out, we were founded in January of 2017, just had our 4th birthday. We're based on a proposal that Carnegie Mellon submitted to the Department of Defense to form a public-private partnership. What is that? That's the public-private side is the DOE, and right now close to 300 members of our consortium. Our membership consists of some of the largest industrial companies in the United States, 15 of the top research universities in the robotics field, several MEPs, including Catalyst Connection, lots of small companies, lots of startup companies. And what we do is we take the money from the DOD and we provide funding to project teams that have given us proposals based on ideas that we submit to our community. So these teams go out and they work on creating these solutions to advance robotics in manufacturing. We are trying to make the United States more competitive in the manufacturing world globally. So our very nature, you could say, is that we're working on reshoring. We've so far launched 75 projects in a variety of areas, and some of these are starting to really produce some results. We are focused in areas where there's the industries that used to be in the United States, things like textiles, things like some sorts of food processing, furniture construction. Then there's other industries like electronics assembly that never really existed in the United States. So how's that going to affect energy efficiency? I think there's some of the obvious supply chain issues. If you're not transporting things halfway around the world, you're not burning energy in that regard. But the very nature of advanced manufacturing is such that what you're working towards is this theoretical thing called the industrial Internet of Things, where you know exactly what's going on in your factories through the use of robots, and you're able to understand and analyze productivity, energy usage, energy efficiency. You can tune your production based on, you know, the time of day to take advantage of perhaps lower energy rates. So there's a variety of things that are happening in that regard on the reshoring side. And so, you know, we do believe that, you know, if you're going to reshore something, how would you make that decision? Well, it's going to be an economic one fundamentally. And the way that the big economic driver in reshoring is labor cost. We can't compete with labor cost with many other countries, but we can compete in technology usage and efficiency. And so that's a key aspect of reshoring. So moving, you know, more production into robots, it's a great workforce creator and a much more efficient use of energy.
So I'll chime in here. I'll have to say, I think most of the good answers have been taken. And I'm Dave McFeeters-Krone, and I am a principal in a manufacturing extension partnership special program to help small manufacturers connect up with advanced technologies. Essentially, I'm a subgroup under Petra, but have a nationwide scope. If you have questions about how to associate with the MEP, you're certainly welcome to call Petra or me, and we'll get you connected to the right person in your state as appropriate. In any event, I'm going to sort of double down on kind of what everyone said and just note how the federal government looks at some of these technologies. And they've been pushing very, very hard to have these things happen, but it's hard for America to do these at this time because we don't have as big a cluster in being able to bring this stuff back. So once we start bringing these technologies back to America, and there will start being this swirl of bringing in automation, understanding the appropriateness of lean, and bringing in some of the technology from the Department of Energy, that will start to create a sort of a virtuous cycle where there'll be continued investment. And what America does best is really double down in innovation to make these processes work better, but there needs to be a market for it. So once the market starts, the innovation will come. And then once innovation comes, the market will expand and hopefully exponentially increase. So that's what I'm seeing in the future. In an effort to move forward, I'm going to move to our second question, and I'm going to start the order this time with Petra, and then move to Jay, and then follow up with Mary. All right, so how can we continue reducing energy demand in commercial and residential buildings? What is the manufacturer's role in energy usage and efficiencies?
Great. Thank you, David. I love this question because I feel like we can, you know, representing manufacturers, we can really shine with this question. We really can't achieve any type of energy efficiency in any kind of building without manufacturing and manufacturing innovation. You know, whether it's the building envelope, whether it's the heating and cooling systems, lighting systems, water systems, you name it, power systems, they all require innovations in manufacturing and manufactured products to successfully achieve any type of level of energy efficiency. And in southwestern Pennsylvania, we've actually have a very strong green, what we called at one point, green building products cluster. And we can estimate 200 to 300 companies that can participate in this cluster. That's a lot of companies that are innovating every day. And whether that's HVAC systems, which you might think, oh, that's just a, you know, long historical product or something, there is a lot of innovations occurring in those types of systems. Controls, lighting, water systems. We have all of that technology here in southwestern Pennsylvania, and our manufacturers are, I think, are contributing in a major way to building product energy efficiency. So it's very exciting times.
Okay, I think I'm up. So how do we reduce energy demand? I'm going to go back to building off of one of my previous points in that as factories become more and more efficient from the use of technology, you have the ability to analyze how you're doing things, how are you using energy, what time of day, can you demand load based on what different types of energy are available at different times during the day. You have more smart controllers. You're a lot better at analyzing how you're doing things. Industrial robots generally run off of three-phase power, which is a more efficient use of electricity. So I think overall, more investment in industrial automation, particularly with the use of robots, is only going to help more energy efficiency or more productivity per energy unit.
Great, thanks, Jay and Petra. I'm actually going to build a little bit off of what Petra was saying earlier around some of these energy saving technologies and producing and making improvements to a lot of the equipment and products that we're used to. I would say even with all of those increased interests in those new products, many of America's buildings are still extremely inefficient, right? And so I'd like to touch on kind of two topics here. One is around the holistic processes that, and Jay just kind of touched on that, around needed to achieve the reduced energy usage. But I also want to bring up a new topic around the embodied energy of the products themselves. So BTO has an initiative called the Advanced Building Construction Initiative, and we believe this is compelling because it seeks solutions that address multiple needs and meet diverse interests. It's not just about transforming our built environment. It's about doing so through more efficient manufacturing, less construction waste, better jobs, and more coordinated work stream. It's about meeting the demands of climate change and disaster mitigation. It's about developing solutions that are more affordable and available to all. One such approach that Jay was mentioning is to increase the utilization of robotics in construction and retrofits, which is why we launched the EROBOT Prize that I'll be talking about later today. We think that advancements in robotic capabilities and controls allow for workers to reach places, perform activities that were previously difficult in access or unsafe. For example, robots can help safely enter small spaces and cavities, such as ductwork, to perform air sealing or other efficiency activities. We also believe that robots can complement and support the existing workforce, creating new employment, business opportunities, while also ensuring quality and consistency in installing energy efficiency measures. I want to pivot over to the role of embodied energy and circular economy. So in regards to this, we're talking about building materials and technologies, as well as ways to work with manufacturers of building related products that reduce energy. So again, like Petra was just mentioning, now we're talking about the windows, the wall components, the HVAC equipment, and more, right? Just a couple of items I want to throw out there. In the US alone, an estimated 251 million tons of consumer solid waste is generated annually, but less than a third is recycled or composted. As much as 40% of this waste comes from construction projects, which produce a surplus of unused building materials. We believe industrialization can substantially reduce the waste of materials in the construction process. And furthermore, this approach offers a pathway to end-of-life disassembly and recycling. We think thinking about these larger things as a whole, as a holistic process, including the manufacturing and the role of the manufacturing, is critical to making sure that not only are we installing equipment that reduces our energy usage and brings better holistic life and comfort to the folks that use buildings or homes, but also the products and how we manufacture the products. There's improvement there and thoughtfulness around the materials and the process and the energy there too.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much for those comments. The next question actually has to do with universities. And I'm going to, since you're already in the spotlight, Mary, I'm going to have you start on this one. But can you talk about how you're working with universities? And then let's have Petra and Jay talk next.
Yeah, that's a great question. So as I hope I've been trying to convey, the buildings market is extremely complex and unique, much different than solar or wind, for example, which deal with only a few core technologies. We actually have dozens of different types of businesses and homes, all of which have dozens of technologies that make them up. Technologies that are dependent on the climate of the building that lives in and the type of construction project being undergone. That's why BTO takes a very strategic approach to its work, both in how we organize and fund our programs, also in how we define, plan, and assess our programs. We work across all of the different segments, including universities, to catalyze innovation through research development, demonstration, and deployment. We issue many funding opportunities throughout the year, year over year, in order to engage with different organizations, much like all of the ones that are here today. Additionally, I do want to highlight kind of two programs that we work closely with universities on, more in the lines of workforce development, so that we can truly develop the next generation of building scientists, architects, and builders. And those are the Solar Decathlon and the Jump into STEM competitions. I think most folks are probably familiar with Solar Decathlon. It's a collegiate competition that's been around for quite a while, challenges multidisciplinary student teams to design and build highly efficient, innovative buildings. The second one that the BTO helps to oversee is called Jump into STEM, and that targets students from a variety of majors to building science. And we ask the students to develop technical solutions and conceptual designs to different buildings related challenges each year. So we actually engage with universities on a number of different levels, from funding opportunities and working with professors and PIs and research teams, as well as engaging with universities to make sure that the students that go through those universities are considering and thinking about building science, building energy efficiency, green buildings as a career path, because we are growing and we would love as many students to join us in addressing this challenge as we can.
Anna, I can continue on with that question. It's a great question. We're very fortunate in Southwestern Pennsylvania to have the strength of our research universities or universities. Catalyst Connections actually co-located with the ARM Institute. So Jay is one of our neighbors, as well as Carnegie Mellon University's Manufacturing Futures Initiative. And we're very pleased now. Unfortunately, we are all working remotely, but we are looking forward to getting back to the offices down the road when we can. I'd say the two main areas that we're focused on, and our universities have many strengths, obviously, but robotics is certainly an area of focus, and then additive manufacturing. So we're helping small manufacturers or manufacturers really understand and evaluate where robotics and automation fits into their facilities. What's that ROI? What are the latest developments? How can they stay in touch to make sure they're fully aware of what the latest developments and opportunities are? And then similarly with additive manufacturing, how do we help our manufacturers assess and implement where those technologies fit? One of the things we're very pleased about is Southwestern Pennsylvania and West Virginia is one of 6 designated defense manufacturing communities in the country. And so we are helping our defense supply chain support national innovation or national defense innovation at the same time that they are helping themselves to become better, stronger, bigger defense suppliers. And there's a lot of overlap between the defense supply chain and some of the green building technologies that we were talking about. It's all under this umbrella of advanced manufacturing. Under that defense manufacturing communities, ARM Institute, CMU, Pitt, WVU, all of us are part of this community, and all of us working towards the objectives that I just mentioned to help, again, advance technology, research and technology, but also to introduce students to the opportunities that are available to them. So I personally feel like we are highly integrated with our region's academic and research institutions, and I think our community is better for it.
Thank you. We're glad too. And Jay?
Yes, so our business model is really unique and has enabled us to do some pretty innovative things. First of all, our projects that we fund are made up of teams. We don't fund just one organization. Typically, a project team is 3 or 4 different organizations. So by the nature of the way that we operate, we could get a big company, a research university, and maybe 2, startup innovator type companies all working together. It's a really unique way of getting collaboration and innovation rapidly deployed into industry. And it's a great source for universities to get hooked up with bigger companies, as well as the startup community, to deliver real results very quickly. We have probably 30 universities in our consortium, and they're all been very, very active. We've been able in the last year to tune our project call process, where we can go from project announcement or invitation to provide us a proposal to a signed contract funded within 45 days. So it's a very rapid turnaround for people that are looking for project results. Very specifically, late spring, we did a call just for COVID solutions. And one of the projects is already wrapped up, and it's been deployed 4 different times already. So we can move quickly, and we couldn't exist without our university relationships.
I'd like to chime in just briefly and say the part of the program that we're involved in for the MEP is setting up relationships for you for other resources like universities that can help you move your technology forward. That could be any number of different questions. In addition, we look for assets that you may find useful outside of universities in manufacturing USA institutes like ARM, plus the other 15 at this point. And again, as I mentioned, the Federal Labs System.
So we have a lot of great questions coming in. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. We're going to do a couple of those. I'm going to bring everyone into view. But first, Mary, there's actually a question that's come in to you specifically around mandating of benchmarking for building performance data. So it's aligned in our topic here in terms of product development, because obviously you want to be buying products that are manufactured to be more energy efficient. So there doesn't seem to be a national standard, which honestly with this manufacturing question might help. So do you want to share a few thoughts on that? And then I think we're going to move to video, because I want to make sure that we are able to see information about this upcoming prize.
Great. Yeah, happy to answer it. I was had a draft and hadn't quite clicked submit yet. No, it's a good question. I think you're exactly right. Many Don, who put that in there, you're right. Many municipalities are beginning to mandate data and specifying what that means and exactly what they're looking for, and I think that's great. It seems like it's more of a kind of growing kind of bottoms up type of approach. There is no US national standard. I'm not sure that there will be. I know that we do and have an effort around this within the BTO. I know that there have been workshops and conversations and bringing a lot of the different stakeholders together to kind of get around this issue. So I think that there will be continued effort there as the industry evolves and matures, and we start to see a need for things like interoperability and many of the other things around data and the systems that use data and that want to and that need data, like moving into things like AI and other aspects that need consistent data. I think there will be a continued evolution there as we progress in things like just digitalization and use of a standardized software around, especially in particular, around manufacturing and fabrication of products and materials, right? There's a lot of need there. So I know we've been thinking about this. We've got a number of folks really focused on this software side of the world that's growing with buildings. So I think we're making progress there. I wouldn't say that we have a perfect solution yet, but I think that there's a lot of growth and interest in moving in that direction, and we think it will head there at some point.
So before we get to some, obviously there are more questions that are coming in, and I appreciate all of you that are answering those questions as we go. I do want to have I want to make sure that we get thoughts and insights. So be thinking about that as we talk a little bit about the upcoming EROBOT Prize. So as we're thinking, I'm going to figure out a way to share my screen. We have a little bit of technical challenge, but I want to pull up a video, and then we have a short presentation that Mary's going to go through. But do be thinking, panelists, about that idea of What are the trends or insights? What's the one idea that you want for us to be thinking about as we move forward? So let me see if I can share my screen and make this work. Video. Here we go.
Affordable, comfortable, environmentally friendly,
Hold on, it's trying.
and superior energy performance. That is the future of buildings. Buildings are the largest sector of the U.S. energy economy, with more than 126 million buildings spanning the United States. They use 74% of our nation's electricity, account for 39% of total energy use, and 35% of CO2 emissions from energy consumption, more than any other sector in America. In terms of energy and climate, buildings present a big challenge. Fortunately, necessity is the mother of invention, and new innovations hold promise for cutting costs and preserving our planet. Available retrofit technologies and approaches could significantly cut an average building's energy use, but only a small portion of existing buildings undergo envelope.
Anna, we lost the sound when you muted yourself.
Dollars per year in energy bills. But many obstacles stand in the way of these upgrades. For one, today's envelope retrofit products and processes are not only disruptive to homeowners and building occupants, they can also create health and safety hazards for construction workers who frequently need to access tight spaces. So, how do we deliver envelope improvements with less pain and more gain? Enter the American-made Buildings Prize called EROBOT. Launched by the Department of Energy's Building Technologies Office, the EROBOT Prize calls on innovators to use robotics to develop minimally invasive, low-cost, and holistic building envelope retrofit solutions. We are counting on you to make retrofits safer, faster, more convenient, and more reliable. This two-phase program provides a total of $5 million in cash prizes and support to competing teams and network partners for solutions that create greater job opportunities, improve safety and efficiency for workers, and reduce building retrofit costs. Have an idea? Join the American-made Buildings Prize EROBOT today.
Okay, let me stop that share, and I'm going to pick up your PowerPoint presentation. So
Excellent. So I'll go ahead and get started. So yes, hopefully the video is available publicly for those of you that couldn't quite hear it. But we are very excited to announce BTO's first American-made Buildings Prize EROBOT. This prize calls on innovators to use robotics to develop minimally invasive, low-cost, and holistic building envelope retrofit solutions. Yeah, thanks. I'm hearing some background, or I'm not sure, but I'll keep going. So building retrofits are crucial to realizing the energy savings potential of the building's envelope, because we expect that nearly 85% of residential and 55% of commercial buildings that exist today will still exist in 2050. Buildings have a very long lifespan. They will still be here. Unfortunately, only a small portion of existing buildings undergo energy efficiency envelope retrofits. Even in leading jurisdictions, only 1.75% of homes and only 2.2% of commercial real estate are retrofitted each year. This is just too low to provide most Americans with high quality housing and workplaces. And unfortunately, there are many obstacles standing in the way of these upgrades. For one, it's very disruptive to homeowners and building occupants. For any of you that have tried to add insulation to your attic or seal off a basement, crawl space or anything like that, it's disruptive. Also, for the workers, it can create health and safety hazards for them, and also, who frequently need to access these very tight spaces. The cost of these materials, the disruption to the occupants, the scale and complexity of tear down or reconstruction of these envelopes, it's just really challenging right now. So that's why we believe advancements in robotics capabilities and controls can provide a solution here. It could allow workers to reach these places that were previously difficult to access. We think that this can complement the existing workforce and efforts already undergoing and provide new business opportunities. You know, and honestly, building owners need affordable, less disruptive alternatives in order to improve their envelope performance. So that's why we've created this EROBOT Prize and are excited to get this going. So it is launched, it's up and underway. As some of the slides kind of showed, it was a two-phased approach. There's $5 million in prizes and network support. The first phase will be focused on individual technology solutions addressing 3 key areas: mapping, sensing and inspection, and retrofit solutions, including novel materials. Up to 10 winners will split $2 million in cash prizes in this first phase. The second phase will require a holistic solution combining all of the elements of phase 1 to be eligible for the prize. And in that phase, up to 4 winners will split a $2 million cash prize pool. So we are counting on all of you to help make retrofits safer, faster, more convenient, and more reliable. So if you've got an idea or know someone you want to work with on this, please reach out to us. Thank you for there's a link in the chat, americanmadechallenges.org/eRobot. Come join us.
So apologies with the technical difficulties. I think our PowerPoint presentation had an overlay of a sound video. So
okay, yeah, no problem.
Unfortunate.
The website's down there for more information. There've been a couple of similar webinars that I think are recorded there, and more information and emails and all of that. So if you're interested, please reach out to myself or go to that website, and we've got lots more information.
We'll include the PowerPoint in our follow-up. So everyone who's on this call today will get the PowerPoint. So apologies for that. So I know we sort of kicked this, started that video and the PowerPoint sequence to talk about the prize itself. So Mary, can you talk a little bit about what you kind of envision? You know, what are the underlying things that you're really looking for? Like, what are you hoping to do 5 years from now with this particular prize?
Well, to be perfectly frank, what we're really genuinely hoping for is a complete revolution to how buildings get retrofitted, as far as walls, attics, and you know, basement kind of crawl spaces and whatnot. It is really challenging right now. The stats are not on our side for who actually is patient enough to kind of put up with this kind of thing. But the numbers also clearly show that envelope improvements are critical to things like reducing your HVAC equipment that you need, right? Improved comfort, and you know, anytime, especially now that we're in February, it's winter time, anytime you stand near a window and there's that cold draft, right? Or you kind of touch it, and that's energy loss. All of that is energy loss. And so, you know, the envelope really has to be part of the solution. Putting a smart thermostat in, and you know, putting a higher efficient, you know, HVAC unit in and calling a day, right? We really have to think about this, which means we have to improve the way we do it. And so this is, you know, one step in that approach, bringing something that already exists in lots of other industries and bringing it to the buildings industry. You know, one of my colleagues makes this great analogy of the healthcare industry. You know, how many years ago, how did open heart surgery happen, right? You had the patient, they had to be opened up, the ribs were cracked, you know, you had to go in, very disruptive, you know, do the actual surgery to the heart, then put the patient all the way back together. You know, it was disruptive, the recovery process was very slow, etc., right? That is not how we do this today. We use robotics with their very small incisions. You know, the patient recovery rate is significantly higher, right? The intrusion is significantly lower, etc. We want to bring that kind of revolution to building envelope retrofits. And as I mentioned, you know, the existing buildings that are alive and well and used today, like all of us are in our homes, they will be around for quite a while. So we really need to think about how are we going to address the existing building market? And this is one approach that we hope to use towards that.
Fantastic. Thank you. So I want to go back to that question that we asked right before, which was, So what are the trends and insights that each of you has that we should be thinking about, not only for this competition and hoping that a lot of people that are on the call today are going to think about entering the competition, but what are some things that we should be thinking about in terms of like, what is the next big thing from your perspective that's really going to drive forward energy efficiency, manufacturing, and robotics, that nexus point? So Petra, why don't we start with you, and then we'll go to Jay. Mary, we'll have you after you last, and actually, David, we'll have you go very last.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, and thanks, Mary. That's a great opportunity for our region and others and so forth. I would say that one big idea I'd like to leave with is that collaboration is key. And we talked about it at this level in terms of economic development, workforce development, education, research. But I think collaboration among industry, we're really seeing that as a trend for sure. And small and medium-sized manufacturers in our community, they're ready, willing, and able to partner. They have, we could point to lots of companies that have tremendous innovations, great products, but I think they're really seeing opportunities that there's more out there and ways that they can work together with others. So I would just say, if anyone has any ideas out there, is looking for partners, please reach out and, let's work together, find the right collaborators.
So the next big thing in the robotic business, it's all the next big thing. But seriously, the last few years we've crossed an inflection point in industrial robotics. The capabilities have gotten so much better, stronger, more efficient, and less expensive, and a lot of that has to do with the growth and of the capability and the prevalence of artificial intelligence. The end effector, the end point of the robot where the work gets done has just gotten a lot more capable, a lot smarter. It can see, feel, sense, and do lots of things. And so there's the opportunity for deploying industrial automation it's everywhere, and what it needs is creative people to see these solutions, to be able to translate between the technology and what is actually good effective work in the factory. So I think we're going to continue down that path of rapid innovation. That's what we're after in our business. We're blessed to be in southwestern Pennsylvania, which is kind of ground zero for robotics, not just autonomous vehicles, lots of other robotic solutions going on here as well. So that's where we're headed.
Yeah, granted, it was a softball question for you, Jay, because obviously everything you're working on is cutting edge. So Mary, let us keep going.
Yeah, I so many. I think you've probably heard me mention a few, but I will reiterate because they are very important. Jobs, right? We got to bring jobs back. We got to think about improving them, lifting all tides, kind of all of that. I think that's really directly tied to economic development, greater US competitiveness, and we all see manufacturing as a key aspect to that, especially for buildings. I've also mentioned things like the circular economy, embodied energy of our products. So I think that's another key trend that I think we'll see continue. Of course, I would be remiss to say if I don't say energy efficiency, right, and decarbonization in the industry and kind of throughout the nation. I think that's going to be we're going to be hearing more and more about that with this new administration and just the way private industries and companies are starting to head, right. A couple other things I think I will tack on to that as far as trends that I see. Resilience, right? The fires, extreme weather, other natural disasters, we've seen over this last couple of years. Wow. We really need to think about resilience as being part of the heart of building construction, right? And I think that there are many opportunities to incorporate resilience features into buildings. So I think that's going to be another growing trend as our weather patterns continue to change. And then lastly, I'll just add, the cost benefit proposition in the construction. I think, I've mentioned that as far as the ballooning costs, poor labor productivity. I think that we can really consider improving that cost benefit proposition, high performance technologies, industrialized practices, completing better buildings faster. I think all of that is around it, but I think it also connects to supporting more affordable housing, right? And more modernization in the built environment. And I think, affordable housing and making sure folks have access to safe and secure homes and buildings is going to be another trend that we see and we talk more about. So I'll stop there. There's many trends.
So I'll close this out and reiterate what Anna had to say. And it's kind of all about partnerships from where I sit. Sun Microsystems founder Bill Joy has said that, the smartest people in the world don't work for you, just by the law of averages. There's a lot of people out there. And this contest offers the opportunity for teams to join together to bring their ideas together and to find the answers. I mean, you may have a great idea for an end effector, you may have a great idea for locomotion, or you may have an idea for just the application itself. Many of the people I've spoken to are great technologists, but need to apply that towards a technology. So Anna's and my organizations are connectors for this prize. And we are eager to be able to help you connect to the right people to have you be successful. Where that might go, give us a call. We'll see if we can find a way to connect you up with our network or tap into the folks that Mary and Petra and Jay are familiar with to put together a team that could do something really outstanding and help move the needle on energy efficiency.
So thank you, David, our partner on today's effort. I have launched a poll. We'd love to have those of you on the line to answer and let us know your thoughts about this webinar and the topic. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're always interested in cutting edge technologies and different ways of thinking about how to solve the climate crisis. So please do answer the poll, give us some feedback. I want to thank all of our panelists for being with us today. So Mary Hubbard with the Department of Energy, Petra Mitchell with Catalyst Connection, Jay Douglas with the ARM Institute, and David McFeeters-Krone with Intellectual Assets. Thank you all very, very much for being with us today. And with that, I think we are at the end of our time. Thank you again for joining us today. Take a minute to do that poll. I'm going to give you another 3 seconds with this pause, just to make sure that you're able to do that. Join us in a few weeks on February 25th when we have our next session. And thank you again to all of our panelists. Have a good day, everybody.